Well, everybody, good morning. Apologize. We were sitting there talking 1996 trespass before the show and the significance of it, and all of a sudden we look up and there's 15 seconds before
Yeah,
the
it was crazy.
start.
Look at my career.
No.
Flexing on you.
We got Jeff at. It looks like we got Jeff at Denny's.
Trying to be in here, but I can't even tell if you guys are, if I'm in or not, guys. I'm trying to
Yeah,
travel at breakfast, but I can't see. I saw myself, but can you guys see me?
yeah, we can see you. We can hear you. You're good to go, man. Where you at? Are you at Denny's or are you at?
I'm at Perkins getting a tremendous 12. I got to get my eat on.
I hear you, brother, man. Get that
Gotta get
food
those
in there. Get
calories
that grub
up.
in there.
Got to get those calories up.
I hear you. I hear you, man. You having a good morning?
Yeah, you?
We're doing all right. We're doing all right. What's the song? We're doing all right. Getting good grades. Future's so bright. We gotta wear shades.
That's right. That's right. Can you guys see me or like? I can't even tell if I'm in camera view or not. I'm just telling you guys, my screen is like it says I'm in the show, but it's not doing it. So
man, you're golden. You're absolutely golden. We can even see the lady behind you in the pink shirt. Like,
oh, maybe I got it angled too much. My bad. Guys, I won't have chat either, so we'll run with it.
I hear you, man. We'll just do production as it is. How are you, Mr. Palmer?
Pretty good. You know, living the dream, just living every day is I don't know. I think living the dream is like something people say when they're sarcastically living the dream, but like, you know, at a job that I was leaving, whenever someone would say that, I'd say living the dream, so very sarcastically. But at this one, I mean, I'm not being sarcastic, but things are going well.
I was joking.
You recovered from the national?
I'm recovered, but it was I can tell you my travel back was not fun. We ended up hitting up Hard Rock Casino Saturday night. Some guys I was out there with or met up with, and then we actually walked out of the casino at sunrise at like 6:30, and then basically headed to the airport and sat at the airport all day. Got on a plane at 6 o'clock or 6:30 at night. I barely remember the plane ride because I was so tired. So yeah, but it was fun. It was a blast. It was just too short. And the problem I felt with the whole thing was there was no way it was impossible to like connect and meet up with people if you didn't run into them or didn't see them because of the connection issues in the convention center. I mean, it was terrible. Like you're trying to message people or text them, it wouldn't work. I mean, I don't know. It's interesting.
I have problems with Gerald getting out. So I'm going to hit real quick on you, Jeff. There's a lot of that background. We can't really hear anything else.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I don't know why this thing is being goofy.
That's all right. We'll get you down there.
I got it. I got it.
Mr. Palmer, man, how are you? Are you recovered from the national, man?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I wasn't able to go to the national this year, so I was just following along with everybody's, you know, Instagrams and all the kind of stuff, the festivities that were going on. So I definitely had some major FOMO, but I suppose that's what I've been recovering from for the most part.
I hear you. Everything going good in your card life, in your card world.
Yeah, pretty good. I mean, just focusing on content, doing some of the content on like TikTok with Collectible, doing some content on Instagram, kind of reposting, just figuring out strategy. I think is sort of my forte when it comes to the content. So that's kind of what I've been focusing on for the most part over the past couple months. I just moved to Georgia, so that's been kind of figuring that out as I've been going. But other than that kind of stuff, things are going good.
What part of Georgia?
Atlanta.
Oh, love me some ATL, baby. Love me some ATL. I will say I did go to that Collectible shindig that Ezra put on.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that was a blast. I loved it. It was so much fun. Thank him for me if you get a chance. I thanked him at the net, but if you see him again, thank him for me because, man, that was so worth it. That was
the collectible. I think one of the things they do really well, other than kind of the platform and all the things they've got going on, are like the events. I mean, they had the event in Vegas. They had the I think they had an event. Yeah, last year they had an event. This year, from everything that I've seen, the event went really well. So it's definitely exciting.
Yeah. What's up, Mr. PSA Hall of Famer?
I am still recovering from COVID from the national. You could tell it in my voice. I mean, I'm negative. I tested negative, but the after effects, maybe I'm going to be one of those long-term people. I don't know, but I cannot seem to get it to go away. I'm taking vitamins and, zinc and all the things. Yeah. Hashtag skid marks. But I can't get it to go away. I think I started getting it the Sunday, of course, the Sunday of the National going home. And like I said, I haven't been able to really shake it since.
Well, I do want to, as usual, say thank you to Rex.
Hey,
Max.
Rex.
What's up, Owen? What's up, big dog? Thank you to the Sports Card Shop and Moco, all the people that are in there. Want to say thank you. We know we're on the big screen, so we're going to make sure we stay safe, stay classy. But what's up, everybody there? And kids, man, you have full permission to aggravate your dad today. I give you absolutely full permission to aggravate your dad. And I want to do a special shout out to Tim Zeeberger. I know that he's going to watch this later, so just wanted to say what's up and have fun making them t-shirts there, buddy. I know it takes him a while, but have fun. You put on you did some good merchandise for the National. So had a long talk with him, and big supporter of Hobby Hotline. So I wanted to just say good morning to you. Good morning to you. So, Mr. Palmer, what's going on in your world with the hobby wise with the cards and all? Anything really, really? Oh wow, here you go. Is it too soon to call you a Georgia boy?
I lived in Massachusetts my whole life, so the weather has definitely been a little bit of a culture shock. It's just like hot all the time. So that's been interesting. We just got a dog, so that I've been bringing the dog out every hour. So every hour I'm getting weather reports of it being like 90 degrees and humid, where the Northeast is, if it's 90 degrees, usually it's not too bad. But yeah, I mean, I get Georgia. I guess I got a Georgia license now, so I guess that maybe makes me a Georgia boy, I guess.
Well, there's a saying in the South about, there's the cold temperature and then there's the wind chill. And there's a joke in the South where if you ever want to know what the wind chill factor is and how cold it really is, you take a smoker and you put them outside and you ask them, put them live what the temperature really is. That'll tell you what the temperature really is. And same way with the heat as well.
Yeah.
So there we go. Went to Emory ATL, baby, in the ATL hardcore. So, Logan, what's been going on in your world, man?
Just collecting, man. That's all I do. Collect. I don't sell. You know me.
Well, what you collecting lately besides 96 Press Pass?
Lots of Dale Earnhardt senior autographs.
I hear even fake ones.
No fake ones. I know the differences. I've done it too long. So do we want to talk about the elephant in the room, Tatis?
I don't know. That's baseball news.
Realistically, I don't think I think long term, if he goes on and has a fine career or a good career and never, gets popped again, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily going to be as big a deal in the long term. I think short term, everybody's kind of panicking, but I mean, even in the hobby too, I don't necessarily. I think Tatis, if you're buying Tatis or if you're selling Tatis now, you're not necessarily what you're getting if you're buying, especially now. I mean, at this point, he still has 13 years on a contract, in San Diego, and I don't know if they're going to re-sign Soto or how that's going to happen. But I mean, it almost seems like that makes sense. The deal where maybe they tried a little bit harder to get Soto because they knew something was going on with Tatis, but I don't know. I mean, I think, like I said, if you're buying any of his cards, like, it's just something that you realistically, I don't think. Also, it's unreasonable to think that this could happen to other players. Like, it's also one of the risks. Like, I don't. We're probably more on the collecting side than investing side, like on the show and everybody here. But like, that's kind of one of the risks when it comes to like the unforeseen risks. I mean, even Tatis over his career has been injured, so like, sort of like I said, what you're getting if you're buying him. Like, this is unfortunate. I think long term, I think it probably will have an effect, but at the same time, like, if he goes on and has a good career and doesn't get in trouble again, then I think it won't have as much of an effect as it currently seems like it might.
I'm gonna unmute Mr. Jeff here because I know he's got a big opinion on this. Let's see. Go ahead and give me your opinion there, Mr. Jeff.
On Mr. Tatis?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think Palmer hit it pretty well on the head, kind of the same way I'm going to stand with it. Personally, I'm always, as a collector, as a fan of a player, I'm always somebody who is more of a fan of a complete all-around player. Not saying Tatis can't be, but we know he's had his struggles and his issues, already having a hard time with the health thing. I mean, he's got a solid bat. He could be probably one of the greatest, or maybe not greatest, but a very, very solid, maybe DH hitter. I don't know. I don't see him. His struggles on the field defensively, and again, his health at being a young age. And then now you got Soto in the mix, like you brought up. I mean, they're going to start this team as they keep adding these guys and trying to make a win like anyone else, like the Yankees, whoever. I mean, it's going to come to a point where how are they going to continue to pay all these guys and keep these guys together? I mean, I don't know. We'll see. But I mean, not really. I don't collect them. I'm not a huge fan of them. It's not somebody I PC. So that's where I'm at with it.
I hear you. And, Tatis has an interesting rookie card. It's the 150th foil Topps rookie card. There's only 3,000 of those made. So it's a pretty, in our day in hobby, rare rookie card. But I stocked up on those probably 3 or 4 years ago. Just, PSA 9s, PSA 8s, PSA 10s, as much as I could find at an affordable price. Man, at the last show I did, I couldn't give those things away. And that's, it comes down to he just can't stay on the field. And now the squeeze is not worth the juice. As an MLB team, can you afford to have he and Soto? Well, here's the worst part about it is now they've got these two big monsters on there. You can't afford to pay both. I mean, technically you could. I mean, think about the Yankees. They do whatever they want, but it's a completely opposite side. You're in San Diego. You're not in New York. You're not in that great big huge large market team. So what the ROI is just not going to be there for what they're paying. So now look at the tradability. You've got an injured player that can't stay healthy on the field. He's been popped more than once for PEDs. Let's call it as it is. This isn't first time he's been popped. I think people need to realize that this isn't the first punishment. This is the first visible punishment that he's gotten. So I think this is step 3 in the process, Jeff. If I remember right, it's step 3 or step 4 or something like that. So not only can he not stay healthy, he's not great. He's not great defensively. He's now, getting hurt all the time. He's of course taking PEDs to get onto the field, but now he's got popped, so he doesn't have that first, second, third, that safety net. And he's got this large contract, so he essentially becomes almost untradeable until revenues catch up. But is he going to be worth trading in 5-6 years? And then you've got Juan Soto out there. He's going to want to get massively paid as well. So I don't know. This is it's a very interesting situation. We really can see now why they swung for the fences for Soto, because they knew they needed it. But now they got a payroll problem on the back end. I guess they figured they deal with it, when the time comes. But man, that sure is risky. That sure is risky. Let's see. There's more faith in Tatis or Wander Franco. Man,
I think almost neither one.
Yeah. And what was interesting is they were calling Tatis the face of MLB. So now, with Franco, it's almost de facto to Juan Soto. Yeah, it's almost de facto Juan Soto. So
with young players like that, I do wonder at what kind of point players. I think the one thing that I think people tend to either forget or they tend to not think of when they're either looking to invest or looking to buy players is like, how many of these players get to the majors and then they sign this big contract and then they're just like, I'm good. Like, I don't even really care about playing. Like, I understand that they've played their whole lives, but it's like, if you're putting $100 million in front of a kid who's 18 years old, like, at what point, like if someone that, granted, obviously 18 years old, I wasn't Wander Franco, but like as an 18-year-old, if someone was like, if you do this thing, I don't even I don't know when these players start playing. Like for Wander Franco, maybe it was when he was 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, whatever. But like if someone at that age, like it almost seems incomprehensible, like how someone could get that type of contract. Like I get that they want to give the contract to the player, and I think it's a step in the right direction for the MLB to give contracts before they have to go to like arbitration and all this kind of stuff. But I just wonder, like, at what point are some players, like, are there, like, there for sure are players that do this. Like, they get the contract, and especially with the MLB, it's guaranteed throughout the whole thing. Like, it's not like the NFL where, some contracts are guaranteed, some aren't. Most quarterbacks get a lot of money guaranteed on the front end. But, like, I just wonder, like, when a player at 18 years old gets a $100 million contract, at what point does he just go, yeah, I'm good. Like, I've got the contract. My generations of my family are good for forever. I don't care if people think that I'm a good baseball player or not. Like, I've proven that, maybe not even proven, but I got to this point, and I don't think it's the same with Tatis, but like, I don't know. I just get worried when players maybe who, like Wander Franco got that contract really before he played a full season. Like, sure, he probably should have won Rookie of the Year last year. I forget if he was eligible or not, but
I don't think so.
I think Randy Rosarena won it last year, which that's a whole nother bucket of worms where like he started playing in 2019 and then he gets the 2021 Rookie of the Year. Like that doesn't make any sense either, but that's kind of beside the point. So, I mean, I just think I would get nervous sort of. I get nervous when I see players get these big contracts. I'm happy for the players, but from a, investing standpoint, it's something where I don't know if, I am as enticed to buy a player like a Wander Franco or Tatis when they're at this point in their career where even though they aren't like Tatis, I guess is proven, but at the same time, like they still have so much longer in their career to go. Like it gets kind of me nervous when that type of stuff happens. And, even looking at the price of those players too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's go down that Arozarena path because something very interesting, and I believe shady and underhanded happened. I mean, they sent him down. They sent him down last week. And honestly, I think they did it for service time. To be brutally honest, yeah, he's struggling at the plate, but Arozarena, like they set him down so that, and if he stays down just long enough, and it's something like 20 games or something like 20, 30 games, then he has to get a whole nother year before he's even eligible for a new contract. That's doing somebody dirty. That's doing somebody dirty.
To be honest, I don't love the way that MLB does service time because if you play in a season, that should just be a year of service time, realistically. Like, it shouldn't be, we saw it with like Chris Bryant, like they didn't bring him up and they got an extra year. We saw it with like players like even in the past couple, Rosarena is another example, but like if a player, especially if they win Rookie of the Year, I don't know exactly, but it's like, I don't love the way the Devil Ray or the Rays do business. Like there was something interesting. I think last year, from 2018 until 2021, they had the 4th lowest payroll in the majors, but then they had like the 2nd best record in that same time frame. So it's like it's such a weird kind of way that they play well, I guess. But so I wouldn't put it past them to be like, yeah, we just want like now an extra year for Rosarena, I guess.
Yeah, Jeff, what do you think about that?
I mean, super dirty. You're saying like, gotta wait another year to get a contract. And again, like Kevin Jones posts, about our boy Randy getting put down, and he's like a postseason monster. Like there's some players that shine and come out and are better in a bigger spotlight versus that long term season grind game, and they just come out and their bats and everything else, their defensive play comes out, postseason and kind of shines. Going back to just Wander as well, and like the Tatis thing. I mean, in my opinion, and again, it's just my opinion, if I'm looking at the two guys as far as who's stronger, who's a better collect or invest or whatever angle you want to take on it, or just player in general. I mean, I think I'm still, even with the early injury, I think I'm going to Wander. I think there's still a lot there in Wander. And Wander, you got to remember, Wander was probably one of the most hyped prospects, like one of the most hyped prospects in a long time. And for him to come out and be hyped the way he was hyped and be able to come out and get right into the bigs and make an impact. I mean, even with the early injury, we see guys get injured all the time. I mean, everybody gets injured. I mean, look at him. You got Mike Trout, who now has this apparent back injury that we don't know is ever going to get better. But yet everybody thinks he's the greatest. He's the best. We should all collect him. You should buy in on him. I think people are second guessing that nowadays. But that was long term, even when he was having health issues, missing, almost full seasons, etc., in and out of the game. So, I mean, I don't know. I guess that's my 2 cents. So.
All right, so there's a question that was posted. I don't know if you can read it, so I'm going to read it to you.
There's a chance to still be a star.
I'll say sorry once you say sorry.
Blue Bob,
You did first,
Adele,
you say sorry first.
Kyle Lewis, India, or Bombs.
Boy, that's tough. I mean, I would probably say, Lou Bob. I mean, if it was me, but that's who I'm picking.
Yeah.
Lou Bob.
I'm gonna go mute again, and then I'm gonna ask everybody.
Yeah.
So, what do you think, Mr. Palmer? Who do you think? Eloy, Lou Bob, Adele, Lewis?
I think it's probably either Kyle Lewis or Lewis Robert, just because I look at the farm system that they came up in, and you look at the prospects that are coming out of those systems, and I just, a lot of the White Sox talent on the field is homegrown talent. Eloy, even Tim Anderson, who's been there for a while. You look at Jose Abreu, who's been there for a while. You look at Lewis Roberts, obviously, for example, and Yohan Moncada, another example. I also kind of look at like opportunities where I think a team can go far in the playoffs. And I think, the White Sox, they went to the playoffs last year, and I think they did fine. I don't think they made it past in the divisional round, if I remember correctly, but I think I look at those opportunities kind of as ones that I see the best opportunities for players to kind of play at a big stage. Like Adele, for example, I think he's good, but at the same time, like the Angels, for whatever reason, they other day they had 7 home runs and they literally lost 8-7. It's like they have the craziest stat lines of any team in the league, unfortunately. And I don't know, I guess they don't get runners on base. So that means their home runs are all single home runs. But then they're pitching, like they can't hold teams below whatever amount of runs to get these wins. So it's like a bizarre, team out there in Los Angeles.
Man, you should be a fan of the Texas Rangers, because now you're talking about their formula for losing. That's exactly what they do. They go out and they get these great big huge hitters. They hit the long, solo long balls, and it puts fans in the seats and everybody loves it.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, their batters, it's changing now with the new manager, and they're very slowly buying in, especially with all the new prospects. But for the longest time, it was, we're going to hit solo home runs. It doesn't matter what the pitching coach says or what the management says, and our pitching's going to suck, so we're going to lose everything 15-20 or 36-86 or what. They're going to score a ton of runs, but forget it. Nobody's going to, they're not going to go in. They're not even going to get into the playoffs because they can't seem to have decent pitching. And that's, apparently it's slowly turning with them. They've got Jack Leiter in the farm system who's trying to figure it out. They've got Dane Dunning. They've got Cole Winn. There's some good, solid, young pitching talent, but there's not a lot, there's not that one true, like 1-2 punch or 1-2-3 punch that you're going to need to even get into. And if you get into a playoff series, you're not going to be able to do that. And, you've got to be able to play. I can't believe I'm going to say this, Braves small ball. You're going to have to be able to do that. Yes, you need the long ball, but you need your first, your second, your third bat to be able to get on base, move the run forward. You need 6, 7, and 8, to get on base, to give those big bats opportunities. And for some reason, they just can't seem to find that magic formula. And it's very similar to Chicago. Chicago just can't seem to put it together, and it just drives me. I love the White Sox, maybe because it's the same type as the Rangers, and they've got the same struggles or whatnot. But I love, and go back to this question. I love Eloy. I love Lubob. I love the team. I love a lot what they do. Their farm system's amazing, but they just can't seem to get it right there. And Kyle Lewis, I like Lewis. I like India. I really like Adele if he could just get it there. I mean, one of the guys that's not on here who I really like is Joey Bart. I love Joey Bart, and he's, they're teaching him. He's struggling, but they're working with him on his bat. They're working with him. They're keeping him in the lineup. They're moving him forward. I mean, if you want to look at catchers, Rangers got 2 or 3 really, really good catchers that they're trying to move forward with. So the young talent is trying to be taught. It's, can they put it together, and can they still, can they listen and do the right things and stay off the PEDs? All right, hold on. It looks like.
Yeah, I just want to throw one thing into, as we're talking about the bats and people being able to get on base and make things happen, and it's got to come from everywhere. I think a struggle with a lot of these teams too is, one, that maybe some of the veterans or maybe the leadership just isn't quite there. Like, they're not stepping up and they're not trying. And I just want to bring in an example up, because I saw this was a couple weeks ago, I think. But there's that Juan Yepes for the Cardinals.
Yep.
And Pujols has literally taken him under his wing to improve his bat. And they show it. They will highlight it during the game. Like, they'll show Pujols watching every little thing he does. And the game they were focused on it the most, they were bringing on, Yepes went, I think, back-to-back 2 home runs, back-to-back. And so a part of that, too, is how much of the veteran leadership, how much of these guys that have been able to do it for a long time and have been successful are really taking other players under their wing. It's kind of like with our Twins. Carlos Correa, man, he's in love with Royce Lewis. He focused. He worked with Royce Lewis during spring training. Royce gets called up, and bang, he's an impact. He's great, and I think that builds confidence with these young players too, and these prospects. That hey, this guy wants to give me attention. This guy wants to show me. This guy wants to teach me all these ins and outs. So just a little throw in there. So.
Well, you also have the problem of the young talent or those who don't do stuff. They really don't care, and they really don't want to listen, and they really don't want to put in the work. They just want to do the benefits of. So it's a two-sided coin. Yes, you have to be able to teach, and you have to be able to, and this is in life. This isn't just in kids in the shop. Here you go. Lesson. Here's a lesson. You have to be coachable. You have to want to actually learn. You have to actually want to get better. You just can't stay stagnant. You can't just sit there and let everybody else do all the work. You have to put in the work. And from the leadership side, you have to lead. You have to run by example. You have to do. You have to continue. You have to continue to hit. You have to continue to do. So it's on both sides, and I think both sides just when that comes together, as in Pujols, man, when I read that, that's perfect. I was like, yes, that's the way it's supposed to be. Now I know there's great examples in racing about this, especially when Chase Elliott comes into mind. Logan, what are other examples of leading and following?
Well, you put me on the spot on that one.
Well, you've been so quiet. That,
well,
I
don't have any horses in this race that you guys are talking about, so I really don't have a lot of input, especially not a lot of knowledgeable input. But yeah, I mean, if you're talking about drivers and you're talking about somebody like Chase Elliott, yeah, I mean, he's gotten a lot of coaching and things from his dad. I mean, his dad's a champion. And his dad has a good work ethic, and that's been instilled within his son. But then you've got other drivers that are out there. I'm not going to name any names that, they're making some money and they're just out there kind of riding around. And then when it comes time for their contract negotiation, all of a sudden they try to kick it up a notch and go, hey, I'm worth something now. Pay me some more money. But then once they get that money again, then they go back to doing nothing, which I'm sure that happens a lot with all the other sports as well. Yeah.
And then let's flip this to the hobby side where you're talking about just collecting. Let's just talk about collecting. As a collector, when you find a player that you absolutely fall in love with that just gets paid, and this happens a lot in the NFL, and this happens, and you can't really fault. You can fault some of the players. But if you look back at that time, if someone were to hand you the $500,000 job at 20 or 21, you think, oh, I made it. We're going to the club. We're doing this. We're going to go drinking. We're going to go hanging out. We're going to go partying. Well, then is your focus really on what you were supposed to be doing? Now flip that over. I fall in love with the particular lineman that I could throw out Dallas Cowboy example after Dallas Cowboy example of players that I've absolutely fallen in love with: linemen, linebackers, defensive backs. I'm not yes, I like Emmitt Smith is my number one player, running back. I love Troy Aikman. I love wide receiver, but I'm a linebacker guy, man. From the movie, God, I can't remember what the name of the movie is off the top of my head, but they're sitting there talking around. Linebackers are sitting around talking, and one of them goes, his philosophy for playing is kill them all. Let the paramedics sort them out. To me, that's the attitude of a linebacker, and that's the attitude of football. And that's the kind of guy that I gravitate towards. And then they get paid, and then they don't want to do nothing. And then they don't. So I build up and I collect and I get autographs, and then all of a sudden nothing happened. Oh, see, yeah. Ray Lewis Don't get me started, Danny, on Ray Lewis. Don't even get me started on Ray Lewis. But he's a great example of a fan. I mean, Danny and I met one of the greatest linebackers of all time, and that's Lawrence Taylor. And I'm using him as a linebacker because he's a guy that completely changed the position of edge rusher to be able to go from hands down to hands up. I mean, that dude was a freaking monster, an absolute freaking monster. And he got paid, his motor got higher, and he kept going, and he kept going. Now, his off the field, we'll kind of just set that aside. But his on the field, man, his motor just kept. It's like he thrived on being able to kill them all and let the paramedics sort them out. That's what yeah. See, look, Urlacher, just another example of guys that just. I got position, like I'm getting fired up right now. Just say, I want to go hit somebody. I want to go hit Jeff. Let's go play football. I'm ready to play linebacker. Let's go hit somebody, baby. Oh, so yeah, but as a guy that collects, that's why I like to. And then, what a great example. AI in basketball. Oh my gosh, AI in basketball. That's another guy that that's why I love like the 90s basketball era. Because I think that whole era was the same way. Charles Barkley. I love Barkley because of that attitude. Man, the Twin Towers in San Antonio, same way. Shaq, get to enforcer through. Nobody was going to get to that hoop. That's why I like the Intimidator so much. Number 3, his attitude is rubbing his racing, and that's the type of guys that I collect, are the guys that aren't going to be intimidated. And then when they get to that mountaintop, you pour that money in, you pour that heart in as that fan, and then all of a sudden they stop. And you're like, what happened, dude? What happened?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, I think, I feel like it almost should be warranted where almost they should make it into the contract where it's for a year after you sign a contract, you can just take the year off or something like that and get all of the whatever you want to do out of your system and then come back ready to go. Cause it's like I said, if you're Wander Franco and you're 18 years old and you're saying over the next 10 years, you're guaranteed $100 million, I don't know. And it's some players, I feel like it's a motivator to do better. And some players are just literally, they're trying to play as well as they can to get that contract. I mean, Ryan Howard is an example of somebody who the second half of his career was nowhere close to the first half of his career. Guy in the NBA, Chandler Parsons is a good example of that. I mean, I don't even know. And no player is obviously ever going to come out and be like, yeah, I got the contract. And then I kind of just gave up after that because I was guaranteed all the money. But it's I don't know. I don't necessarily hold it against the players. As a fan, obviously you hope that doesn't happen if your team is the one signing them. But at the same time, it's if someone were to have given you $100 million at the age of 18, I would find it maybe a little bit harder to be as focused on just, playing baseball, especially, maybe when you see other players around you who don't take it as serious or didn't take it as serious. But I mean, I think that with collecting too, it's great because with the NFL, if you're collecting a quarterback, that's a little bit different because you really are kind of paying top dollar for those players. But if you're collecting either linemen or linebackers, I mean, even anybody on the defense, if you look at Aaron Donald, who is going to be he is right now probably the best defensive player of this generation. May go down as maybe the best defensive player of all time potentially, but if you look at his cards, they're probably they're probably the same price as a Wander Franco for a rookie Aaron Donald, and Aaron Donald is the best player of the sport. So it's I think that's one good thing that I think about football. My buddy actually texted me the other day and he was just look at this awesome Clinton Portis card that I got. He got it for $18. It was an RPA. Actually, it wasn't an RPA, but it was a patch autograph card. I'm yeah, I mean, that's one of the good things. If you love a player, in their playing days, Barry Sanders maybe is another example of that too. Yep. Barry Sanders, the best, maybe arguably, if he had played longer, he may be in that like Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Tom Brady conversation of best player just of any sport of all time. Like just so crazy. You watch any of his highlights, he's the craziest player of all time. And you could probably find his cards for reasonably priced. Like even, in that generation, the rookie cards, there weren't as many, but you could find Barry Sanders patch autographs for not super expensive. And I think that's one of the good things about football. And if that tide shifts, I don't 100% know. I thought it was going to actually probably 2 years ago. I think one of my early predictions going in the NFL season was that things were going to shift, maybe not shift away from quarterbacks, but they were going to shift more to running backs and wide receivers. And we really haven't seen that. But that's one of the things about football that is good about collecting is you can find players that are inexpensive and, you can find linemen or linebackers or defensive backs or, even some wide receivers and running backs. I think an example that I would probably say is James White, for example, is one of my favorite Patriots players of all time because he won us the Super Bowl that one year. And in my opinion, just from watching him, he was one of the best players on the team every single year. But you could probably find James White rookie cards for $1. So it's really, if you're looking to niche down from football, it's super easy to find good cards for inexpensive for football, which I think is one reason why, football is an interesting sport if you're kind of getting into it, I guess.
Yeah, because this is Jeff's this is his realm. This is it. I could see it on his face. He's ready to go. He's ready for his opinion.
Yeah. So,
this is a good question right here. Quarterbacks are way overvalued. Why do you think no other position is really so? Come on, baby.
And they absolutely are. And I think touching on what Palmer said about if Barry Sanders played longer, that might have changed. But I mean, we can also list guys even Emmitt Smith, right? As a Cowboys, I knew that would get Brad pounding his heart, but. I mean, dude scores over 100 touchdowns in his career, rushing touchdowns. And again, he's another guy that you can go and you could get his rookie cards or find some probably patch cards for next to nothing. Walter Payton, again, the positional deal, unless it's a quarterback, and we got here, the quarterbacks are way overvalued. Why do you think no other position is really close? And here's the thing. I think part of the issue, though, with running backs, receivers, etc., is that running backs usually have a short career span, right? There's very few running backs that can stay healthy because they get knee issues, ankle issues, ACL tears, all sorts of different injuries that shorten their career or whatever. Some of these guys got double knee replacements, etc. Still trying to limp out there and play, and it obviously affects their ability of what they can do. And they're at the end of the day, it's just going to shorten their career. So, but even on a quarterback stance, where is it that, okay, so even when we look at quarterbacks, take somebody and I'm a Viking fan, so this is where some of my buddies would say that they feel like I'm secretly a Packer fan somehow, but let's take a guy like Aaron Rodgers. In reality, as a quarterback, you can get his cards for a fair price. I mean, he's done some things. He's won some Super Bowls. When I was walking around the National with one of my good buddies, Jeff Airtime, he had two cards that he wanted to get, and they're two top grill cards, and he had the cash on them to buy both if he could find the right deal and the right price. He ended up buying the Brady Contenders auto ticket, autoed. I think it was PSA 7, I want to say, I think is what he ended up getting. And that's the realm of where he wanted to pay and what he wanted to get. But as we kept going around looking at different players and talking about guys like Justin Herbert, Kyler Murray, all these different guys are getting brought up. Even Josh Allen, right? Which a lot of people think Josh Allen is going to probably have the potential to be the MVP. He's pre-season MVP talk, heavy MVP talk. I think I hear it everywhere. I see it all the time. I see people posting about it, whether they're Bills fans or not, unless they absolutely hate the Bills and maybe they're not bought into it at all. But the question he kept asking me is, how many chips or how many rings is this guy going to win? in his career? Like, how many Super Bowls is he going to win? How many do you think he's going to win? And it's a question to really think about. Like, because again, at the end of the day, on the card side and the hobby side and value side, that's going to change a lot of things. But then you look, I'm going back to Aaron Rodgers. He's won Super Bowls, but yet he's nowhere near, I think, if you look at it on a spectrum of value and what you can buy him for, nowhere near some of these other guys. I mean, obviously, no one's going to be close to Brady. Brady's the GOAT, hands down. He's won the most. It's not even close. But Rodgers is a guy that's kind of in that next tier right below the Brady list. And yet, I would say a guy like Aaron Rodgers is undervalued. So, there's some give and take here. And again, that's my opinion. But again, positional side, I think running backs, their careers are just short. They usually just don't last long. They don't have a long career. Receivers, you got to think about it. You got to look at it on a tail end of, like, how often are receivers actively progressing or doing something. I mean, they might have a game where they have 10 receptions, and they might have a game where they have 1 or 2 receptions. They might get in the end zone 1 every 3 games, unless it's just one guy that's at the top of the list. But I also like Palmer's thing where he brought up about Aaron Donald. Arguably, probably going to be the best defensive player of all time. And yes, you can get his cards for next to nothing. I mean, where does it? Is it ever going to shift? Are we ever going to see a shift? Like Palmer said, he thought in a couple of years, and he may see that change in position. Is that ever going to happen, or is it just always going to constantly be the quarterback search? Right? We look at even if you're looking on like a break scale or break side. I bring this up because Brad was in Triple on Thursday night. But like the products that are coming out, obviously, like someone like the Tennessee Titans is the higher priced if you like PYT because Malik Willis. But yeah, we don't even know if Malik Willis is going to ultimately where he's going to go. I mean, he's been progressing in training camp. They've reported that they showed his footwork from like day one versus like the other quarterbacks, and he was all over the place. It was like super sloppy. But they're reporting that he's picking up everything very, very fast. Is he ever going to be a starter in the NFL? I mean, who knows? But yet everybody's going crazy, going after his cards and paying these high dollar tickets to get into the Titans or et cetera. I mean, it's that risk side of what we do, just like anything in the hobby. But I don't know. I think that's kind of where I stand on that.
I love this question, Jeff, man. I love this question. Terrell Davis or Andrew Luck long term?
Terrell Davis or Andrew Luck long term? I mean, Davis was a beast. The problem with Davis was, like, I respect him a lot for everything he did. I mean, he played through serious migraines. Like, he had serious migraines. In fact, I believe in that Super Bowl, he was dealing with them.
Yep.
And they were bringing up that he was like trying to take some certain medications to try to clear it, to make them whatever. But I don't know, man. I'm probably going to lean towards Andrew Luck long term myself. And again, maybe that's just me gravitating more towards a quarterback versus a running back. And I think that's kind of maybe shame on us. Maybe that's what us as a hobby has done, as we can see. We sit here and talk about the values all in quarterback, nowhere else in football. So,
yeah, I'm gonna mute you.
You're good.
I want to hear Adam. So, Adam, Terrell Davis or Andrew Luck? I know what the answer is, but I want to hear your opinion, not only from a player, but then from a card standpoint. Mm-hmm. And then I'll tell you why I'm steering you in that direction.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've looked at it, if you're looking at value of the cards, you really have to kind of look at who has an opportunity to be relevant, I guess, is one thing that I kind of look at. Like Andrew Luck, I think it's really honestly almost a toss-up between like who is more relevant in general. Like if Andrew Luck wanted to step in and take on some sort of commentary role or some sort of role with a team as a coach, or any type of football role, like I think he could very easily, which would then I think in turn, I think it would help his value a little bit. But I just don't, at this point, I don't see him doing that because of the way that he retired. Like, I think the way that he went out was that he just didn't want to be a part of football anymore. And I think that's sort of, you know, I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer. I don't think he is. Just unfortunately, I think if he had played 2 or 3 more years, and maybe then he does this 2 or 3 more years down the road after 2 or 3 good seasons, like I think injuries and sort of his career wasn't long enough for him to really be a Hall of Famer, where Terrell Davis, anything that Terrell Davis could do, I don't think would affect whatever his value is, honestly. I kind of look at it that way. So, I mean, I guess I would go Andrew Luck, but realistically, I don't even necessarily think it's that much of a difference at this point, because like I said, if Luck, you know, if he steps in and becomes a coach somewhere or something along those lines, you know, maybe that affects his value positively, but I don't know if he's going to do that or not.
So I look at let's look at it from a collecting standpoint, and I hate to use that but an investment standpoint. Look at the cards for Terrell Davis, and then look at the cards for Andrew Luck. Luck is a little more shiny, but Terrell Davis is so harder to find in a good quality card. And I think over time, and I trust the hobby on this, they're finally going to go back and go, holy cow, this card is super. We were talking about this earlier with the 96 Press Pass. It's not look at the card relevancy and look how hard it is to get that card in such a great shape.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's go back to this. This was one of my cards I wanted to do at the National. I could not find this card at the National for less than $600. I bought this card 200 raw, thought it would be a 2, and it came out a 4.5. I had it graded at the National. I stole this card, guys. I stole this. And you know where it's going? Straight into the PC, because I love sweetness. This is one of those that's got a really good story. It's not going anywhere, but I absolutely love that. So I think eventually we're going to get back to what is hard to collect. 96 Press Pass, Burning Rubber, first insert ever. Why is this set not more relevant in the hobby? It just drives me nuts because of the significance of this set. Yes, it's racing, but who cares if it's racing? It's friggin' like the first inserts. It started this trend where we're now on in the hobby of us screaming for game-worn cards, for game-used material. You don't have that if you do. Well, okay, so maybe Upper Deck had that fleeting thought and was waiting to see if Press Pass action. I don't know what the history is, but if we don't have 96 Press Pass Burning Rubber, do we have today's relics eventually? Maybe somebody comes up to it, but it's just a pivotal point in the hobby. So I just agree. I'm not talking inserts. I'm talking about relics. If I said inserts, I apologize, but I meant actual relics and adding material to a card. So let's go back to there was a comment here. The D gets no love from collector value. I'm a Ravens fan. We have some epic D players. You can find Lewis, Reed, Suggs, Nagata, all at fairly low price compared. I mean, go back and look at Doomsday. Purple People Eaters, baby. Purple People Eaters. The defenses that just look. Why isn't Refrigerator Perry, one of who also completely changed the game for football? I mean, there's these iconic defensive players. Deion Sanders, double way defensive player who is very, very hard to do back then, especially playing high level baseball and high level defensive back and then run track. So yeah, and here's the great Randy White, man. Randy White was an absolute character, an absolute Ed Too Tall Jones. Ed Too Tall Jones. I mean, yeah. Okay, so I didn't know that one. Kevin. I didn't know that one. So, I mean, but there's these defensive players that have significant relevance within the hobby or within sports that aren't really celebrated in the hobby. And as a player, I started looking for Lawrence Taylor cards a couple of days ago. So I met the man. I think I need to go get a couple of cards of him. But going back and looking from there, and I was just about to make this comment. The Lawrence Taylor cards were actually a little higher than they have been recently, maybe because of his preview at his collectibles show, or his deal at the collectibles, and everybody pulling players out and going, oh yeah, Lawrence Taylor, I remember that guy. I need to go get his cards, that type of thing. So, and I will say this as a small comment about James White. I think you're forgetting about a gentleman who went to Plano Senior High School called Sexy Rex Burkhead. That's Rex Burkhead, running back, man, scat back, did everything the coach asked of him. Don't forget about Sexy Rexy, baby. That's what we called him in high school. We came back year behind us when we was running around. We called him Sexy Rexy. So don't forget about Sexy Rexy. Well, that's 57 minutes. So we just sit there and rambled on about baseball and football and hobby and sports, man. What do you think, Logan? You're awfully quiet, man. You're awfully quiet.
I have no horse in this race, so I can't add any value. I'm not going to talk about something I'm not familiar with.
Well,
but, one thing we didn't talk about, and it's probably too late to talk about it now, but that 86 Fleer basketball box that was open at the National. People thinking it's fake. I mean, I don't know enough about it to say yes or no that it's fake, but from what I've heard, the sequencing that came out of those packs does not jive with all the sequencing that's known, and it almost looks like it's a repacked box. But I can't say that for sure. I don't know.
You got a quick comment, Jeff, or no?
No, I don't really have anything on the 86 Fleer box at all. But yeah, I mean, I probably got to get cruising here, so I might dip out of you guys here a minute early or so.
No, go ahead, dip out, man.
All right. All right, guys. It's been real. Later, guys.
Have a good one.
What do you think, Mr. Palmer? Any words on that?
I mean, I think that it's unfortunate. I don't know. I think that there's a lot of evidence pointing towards maybe it not being correct. I think that although, I don't know. It's just it's unfortunate. I think mistakes can be made. I don't think anyone is above making a mistake. I think everybody's made mistakes. Everyone has made mistakes in their career at some point. And I don't think it necessarily diminishes all the work that's been put in for certain things. I mean, obviously, unfortunately, the authenticators haven't had the best year, I'd say, in terms of like two pretty high profile mistakes, unfortunately becoming pretty well known. But at the same time, it's like, if business practices were up to standard and they went along the way, if there weren't any shortcuts taken, then I just believe that mistakes can be made as long as, there wasn't, as long as the steps were taken in the process that's been proven throughout history for this company, then I think mistakes can happen. But like, if there was, unfortunately, if there were any shortcuts taken or anything along those lines, that probably hurts credibility a lot more. But at the same time, like if all the proper business steps were taken, then, you know, to say 100% of the time that things are going to be correct is just not realistic. Unfortunately, as with more eyeballs coming into the hobby, that just means that there's going to be, you know, potentially more opportunity for stuff like this to happen. So I mean, that's kind of what I think about. I still want to see more. I think the evidence that's come out is good, but I don't know. I still am waiting to kind of. I don't know. It's a tough situation. I don't really know.
Yeah, I don't know what's in the hearts of men, so I'm not gonna say anything to that. I just hope it wasn't, and leave it at that, because anything's possible. All things are possible through Christ, and all things can be negative, and all things can be done negatively through the other. So it doesn't surprise me if it was, and it doesn't surprise me that people are accusing him if it wasn't. So, but I don't know anybody's heart, so I'm not gonna call that out. So we're a little over there, Captain PSA, Mr.
Yeah, we're in Hobby Hotline overtime.
We are in Hobby Hotline overtime. I will say, you know, hello to John Newman. I want to make sure I say hello to John Newman. And make sure that, you know, you say hello to Uncle Rich. You know, and I really do appreciate everybody spending time with us. Appreciate Jeff calling. Make sure that he makes it. I love it when he's able to join us, because he gives a different perspective. Mr. Palmer, thank you for joining us in spending your morning. We really do appreciate that.
Absolutely.
PSA Hall of Famer Skidmark, what's up?
Well, I mean, it was a good show. I enjoyed listening to you guys. I will say that. I mean, I did learn some things, so I guess it's a positive for me. You know, all I can say is just, you know, check out Val, Jason, and I on NASCAR Radio, which drops every Friday. That's about all I can say. And watch Hobby Hotline every Tuesday and Saturday.
Yeah, Mr. Palmer, how can people reach you?
Heroes for Sale, basically on all platforms. Also check out the collectible TikTok. That's kind of where I've been focusing a lot of my content creation energy over the past few months. So that would be definitely where I suggest people kind of go check out some of the stuff that I've been working on. And then, like I said, Heroes for Sale, basically on any social media platform you can find.
I hear you. I do want to make sure that everybody tunes in on Tuesday. On Tuesday, we got we do have John Newman making an appearance. We do have Victor, the rookie card specialist. We got Stale Gum, Chris Harris, and Corey Yam Wax. They're going to be on Tuesday. So make sure you join in on Tuesday night. And if you're printing T-shirts, make sure you're actually watching while doing printing T-shirts. And Rex, Max, Owen, from my heart to yours, y'all have fun. And I hope you at least aggravated your dad once during this entire thing. So y'all take care. Y'all have an absolute blast. And guys, stay classy.